Menominee Indians who support the occupation of the building. After meeting with these supporters, the commander met with newsmen.
What did you talk about?
About ending this situation and preventing any bloodshed here.
Did you come to any agreement?
Establish good faith.
I beg your pardon?
Colonel Simonson said that he...
Are you going to walk in, Neil, or...?
We got soup.
Are you encouraged about the way things are going?
What the...
The Indians say they accept the National Guard's good faith, but the long-abandoned building now under occupation does not belong to the Guard. It belongs to a private religious order which has indicated no desire to give it to the Menominees. In any event, the talks between the Indians and the National Guard resulted in the delivery of a small quantity of sandwiches to the 40 or so Indians inside the surrounded building. And the food was accompanied by 2 Indians, one the leader of supporters of the occupation, the other the leader of its detractors. Their visits and the goodwill food may accelerate the resumption of dialogue, motivate the end of the occupation, and hasten the departure of the National Guard. This is Greg Dobbs, ABC News in Shawano County, Wisconsin.
I certainly do.
Russell, one other question.
Inevitably, people think of Wounded Knee. Do you draw any comparison? Do you have any thoughts on that?
There's a definite parallel here between this instance and Wounded Knee. The only difference is the officials. Here we're dealing with state officials, and Wounded Knee was federal officials. The parallel is phenomenally the same.
What is it specifically?
The fact that the Indians have a right to those buildings and to those grounds, the fact that they have a right not to be harassed by any government agency, the fact that they are being harassed, and as you knew, the negotiations of Wounded Knee fluctuated. One time they let medicine and food in, here they're doing the same thing. This is only the beginning.
I don't like this firing. As the governor said yesterday, with all the rounds that have been fired so far, it's a total miracle that somebody didn't get in front of one of them.
You'll get there.
They told me to hurry up and come up here and get back.
Back on the truck. Back on the truck. We got 6 on the
Yeah, you're in the first vehicle?
No, I'm just smaller. I think it's too low.
Of course, the key to this standoff is the attitude of the Indians inside. Will they give up in return for immunity from prosecution, or will they try to hold out for ownership of the land they now occupy? Right now, nobody can physically approach them to ask these questions.
It's obvious when if you are facing weapons of which you have nothing effective to counter with yourself, then you talk about somebody who might have those things.
What do you expect you're facing?
Well, we did have some reports of weaponry that would be not in a deer rifle classification, I guess. That's the best as I can describe it.
Where can your side give in a little?
I can't answer that for the Menominee Warrior Society. What I am is their spokesman. I don't make decisions for them. That's where you're wrong.
Where do you think there is an area where you might give in?
Personally, I have no comment. Mr. Skinador has entered this building, and if he's negotiating, I mean, I can't see a negotiator staying down in Shawano and not doing his job.
So far, it has paralleled every event in Wounded Knee from the beginning. Thank you. Recorded.
And a face shield and a squad leader will take care of the rest. In by squad. Squad leaders check and make sure they're all there. Squad?
First squad, that's me.
Where's your people? Squad ready
We're all
fast.
got it right.
All right.
That line?
Sure. I know. Squad leader? Huh? 45. Back on the truck, let's go. One of each side.
Some of the others might have 6, but it will relieve you. Just make sure you put it all in your pocket. They're going to issue those shields out there afterwards, right? Right.
Anderson, you squad leader?
No.
What, you squad leader today?
No, EJ is
You guys are swollen with these.
DJ?
Take your flag up and introduce this.
Okay.
Take that weapon. this the end? Okay. Okay, back to the CP. Let's go. You gonna take off first, then we'll follow you out, or what?
You want to step back behind the...
Of course, the key to this standoff is the attitude of the Indians inside. Will they give up in return for immunity from prosecution, or will they try to hold out for ownership of the land they now occupy? Right now, nobody can physically approach them to ask these questions, and the one telephone link between the National Guard and the Indians inside has yielded no success. Greg Dobbs, ABC News, Shawano County, Wisconsin. You're off me there. Of course, the key to this standoff is the attitude of the Indians inside. Will they try to hold out for ownership of the land they now... Over again. Keep going. Of course, the key to this standoff is the attitude of the Indians inside. Will they give up in return for immunity from prosecution, or will they try to hold out for ownership of the land they now occupy? Right now, nobody can physically approach them to ask these questions, and the one telephone link between the National Guard and the Indians inside has yielded no success. Greg Dobbs, ABC News, Shawano County, Wisconsin.
I wouldn't want to go in and set up another carnival there and start drawing fire again, you know. So bear with us until we
Give
get...
us time to get our feet on.
There'll be some dependable way for you to get the word out to us that such a thing is imminent.
Yeah, give us Artley and us a chance, because, you know, they might be sitting out there watching this, and they say, how come you're in here talking to these people and you aren't talking to us? So Ben Artley and I get with these people as soon as we can after here.
Is what your intentions are here and your plans.
Our plans are to, as expeditiously as possible, exit those 40 souls from the Abbey.
Do you have a game plan?
We sure do.
Have you told anybody here about it?
I think we have. Any other ABC people here, I'm sure they'll fill you in.
Well, but we all work for different companies. I just ask you to repeat yourself.
Well, our plan is to again, maintain a perimeter of the area, but initiate good, wholehearted negotiations with the thought of getting these 40 souls out of there will in no way impede their exit. They're free to go. But when they get out of our jurisdiction, then we have no amnesty authority whatsoever. But we're going to guarantee them safe passage out of the area.
You understand have offered food or something of that sort?
Food will be, it's a good faith thing. We'll take some food in, yes. Milk, baby food.
Has the drawn-out occupation of Wounded Knee from a couple of years ago entered into your thoughts as you anticipated your actions here?
One always benefits by other experiences, yes.
What do you gain from that one?
Cut out the firing. That's the biggest thing, I guess. Well, the barn itself, I don't know. The complex there has not been totally abandoned, no. It's now an observation post. We feel that we should maintain an observation. Not that we're looking down their necks, but I think the situation dictates that we must keep the Abbey under some type of surveillance. It's not going to have 40 men there.
There still are. You had said something about the checkpoint 6 being eliminated and that you didn't want to establish a carnival. In your opinion, you feel that the Sermontour's actions up to this time were not effective?
No, we're not casting any reflections on what's been done. And we feel that we're going to change the complexion of 6 to start with and see if it helps. That's all. I don't like this promiscuous firing.
Request. If you have a chance during your telephone talks with them, if they call you or you call them, would you ask them if they would be adverse to the idea of everybody coming in, staying at arm's length, and shooting the building and then leaving?
Sure.
will present that.
Present that, sir. I've got authority from the governor's office to buy some groceries, so whenever you need.
2 o'clock this afternoon. Hopefully at that time we may have something more to offer. So if you're in the area...
45 pistols. He's certainly within range.
Don't stick in the mashes, huh?
Fine.
Flies in here? Flies in here, please?
What's the next step as far as the guard is concerned, as far as the whole situation?
I think that we've made some great progress in here on reestablishing communications with the Abbey and initiating real good, earnest dealings with the people in the Abbey. And I think our negotiations are underway again.
So we're moving in the right direction then?
They've got there.
When are negotiations going to start up again?
Just as quick as we can establish communications with the Abbey.
Will Mr. Means be participating in the negotiations?
That I don't know. My chief negotiator here is Artley Skenador, and he's going to be my expert on negotiations. We're going to have to take it point by point. We've got to reestablish communications first.
What did you offer, sir, to begin negotiations again?
Wait, nobody. Well, my feet are getting cold.
You say the Alexian brothers are the key to this? They're not the key to it. They're essential to it. Yes, but they've been 100% all the way along. I don't see any problem.
Headquarters be from now on for dissemination.
Man, here where do we go from here? I've been just notified that Alexian brothers are en route here, that the National Guard's taken over. They've given me
here?
right now. It's got to be seen because I've been made 150 promises, and that was in the last hour, and last 4 days I've been made 2,000 promises, and they've been broken. So it remains to be seen.
If you're all going to negotiate, where can your side
begin in your movement? We're here at the request of the Menominee Warrior Society, and we're under their direction, just as we are any place where we answer the call for help from Indian people. And we have no way in hell in order to tell them what to do. We can only assist them with our experience. It does seem to me, though, that just because the National Guard has arrived here doesn't mean that there's an upturn for the better. It seems to me that it's come full circle from the days of the Roman Empire when the Christians were fed to the lions. And now the Christians, in the name of the Catholic Church, are attempting to feed Indians to the lions of state government. And so, you see, the American Indian Movement, of course, is here once again to offer our bodies for the Menominee people and the Menominee Warrior Society in the hopes that the Catholics will see some kind of doctrine that they preach within themselves and turn over that monastery to the Indian people.
What specifically do you plan to do?
No comment. Pardon? I can't say anything that would get me indicted for conspiracy.
You trust him? I'd love to go in. This is what I stated before. My people are in there. I don't know what conditions they're under right now, but I'd love to go in no matter what conditions there are. I got the chance, and I am going. It's scheduled for 1:30 this afternoon, and a little bit of our stipulations were laid down, and a little bit of their stipulations were laid down. And out of this meeting, we came out with a good, fair means to settling this, or to certainly.
You're going to supply it, or are they?
Certainly, they're going to supply it. You're bringing it in with you at 1:30? Certainly.
Mr. Means, are you somewhat optimistic about the whole situation as it stands now, that some kind of a negotiated settlement can be reached? Do you see any light at the end of the tunnel?
As far as the American Indian Movement is concerned, we do not trust any government official yet. Of course, if you know our past history and our past dealings with governmental officials, you can understand why. I am not optimistic.
Overcome some of the difficulties that we are experiencing up.
Yeah. For the editing room, we're talking with Brother Florian Eberle, correct?
Correct.
Florian Eberle. And Brother Florian, what is your title here?
I'm the provincial of the Alexian Brothers, which means I'm the religious superior of the Alexian Brothers in the United States. And as such, I also become the president of the corporation. Our legal title in that respect is Alexian Brothers of America, Incorporated.
Okay. Brother Florian, yesterday your negotiating team came home because you said that things were at an impasse. This morning they flew out and went back to the site. What has changed?
This changed late last evening when we got back here at about 10 minutes after 8. we immediately got in touch with the sheriff's office up there, and they told us that they had now contacted the governor, and that at 6 o'clock this morning they were coming in with the National Guard, and it was the wish of the Menominee Indians, the local authorities, and the National Guard that the Alexian negotiation team come back again. So they flew out of Chicago O'Hare this morning at about 8:20. We expect them to be up at the site probably about mid-morning.
Why did the Menominee Indians and why did the Guard want your negotiating team to come back?
This we have no way of knowing. They called last night and said that they wanted them to come up. So apparently maybe they feel that new negotiations will start off on a better foot than they did before.
In meeting here yesterday, you were trying to decide what to do with the land. What did you discover?
Not really so much what to do with the land. Our meeting generally yesterday was to have my representatives up there bring me up to date in a face-to-face communication so I would know exactly or more clearly the things that were happening up there in their negotiations. We also talked a little bit about our strategy. We also talked about how we would handle news releases in the future, and also to try to develop some kind of a plan so that if they were called back again, that they would at least have some directions from the Alexian brothers as to which way they should move.
What is the strategy that your team is following now up there?
The strategy that I believe they're going to follow is this, is to perhaps get an Indian mediator to go in and talk to the Indians that are holding novitiate property. And one thing that we Alexian brothers have committed ourselves to again and again, and that is that we want a peaceful, just settlement. And then secondly, if it is the wish of the Menominee Indians to have a health care facility up there, we will do our utmost to get either local support or whatever federal support we could get them in order to bring about their wishes.
When you're talking about a health care facility, the Indians who now have taken over the monastery say that they want to make it into a hospital. Would you be willing to go along with that?
In our view, and we have been in hospital work forever, it seems. We've been in the United States for 100 years, and we know that that building would never lend itself to being a general hospital. I don't think the statutory requirements for a hospital would ever approve that sort of a building.
Why?
Because of the fact that the rooms are small, it doesn't have adequate toilet and bathroom facilities, and in order to bring in operating rooms, emergency rooms, clinic, and things like that, you'd almost have to gut the entire building.
And have you told the Menominees who now reside there?
No, I don't believe that my representatives have told them that, but I know my representatives agree with me 100% on that because we have talked about it before. In fact, during the 5 years that this property has been vacant, we as Alexian brothers have looked at it from any number of viewpoints, hoping that maybe we could use it as a satellite to one of our medical operations right now. First of all, we don't have enough Alexian brothers to do it, and then secondly, the building itself would not lend itself to that sort of an operation.
There were reports yesterday that you might have considered giving the property to the Indians before being placed in this position. Is that in fact true, or were you considering a way to lease it or sell it to them?
Well, I suppose it was a reaction to the way they took the place over by force. And my statement was this: I've thought of it. Yes, I've thought of it in the past, especially being that we have not been able to find a buyer for it in 5 years. And then also in view of the fact, as I said before, we are dedicated to the service of mankind.
What has been your asking price?
$1 million. But in recent months, being that we did not find any buyers for it at that price, we were negotiating down to about $750,000.
And you were negotiating with another group of Indians, the Oneidas.
That is correct, the Oneidas under Mr. Adam Webster. Mm-hmm.
Do you think that that group of Indians will want to buy the property now?
Well,
siege?
We're hearing several different viewpoints. This Mr. Adam Webster, who leads this Oneida group, we had a meeting with him here with the board of directors of the Alexian Brothers, and we were very much impressed with him and his group. We were very much impressed with the work that they wanted to do for the Indians. But now that this uprising has occurred, Adam Webster kind of changed his mind in regard to this. But on the other hand, we contacted Mr. Adam Webster again and said, well, look, why don't you help us out of this difficulty? So it seems right now that perhaps Adam Webster would go along with this approach of setting it up as kind of a health care center for the Indian people.
Brother Florian, in your own opinion, what's going to happen to your property right now?
Just we're hoping that there will be, but in talking to my representatives this morning, they were not too encouraging in relation to what the end product of this is going to be.
Okay, thank you.
Is that good enough?
Mm-hmm.
Did it record all right, you think? No?
Beautiful.
Good. Hold this back as far as our routine work is concerned. Because, you know, with myself, I only have so many hours in a day, and 97 Alexian brothers in the United States. But another interesting part of our history that you may not be familiar with, and that is that we are an organization that goes back 600 years. We were.
Brother Florian, what caused the Menominees and the National Guard to ask you to return?
I believe really it was part of our strategy in calling back our representatives and saying, well, you know, we've done our part. We've really gone out of our way as much as we felt we could to negotiate with the Menominees. And when it came to an impasse where the Menominee said, well, we won't accept it, we felt as part of our strategy we could bring them back.
What happened between yesterday when your negotiating team came home and this morning when they were asked to come back?
We spend most of the time in meetings, believe it or not. Well, they're not recording these.
No.
Oh, I see. It's just a matter of getting...
Just my question.
Yeah, I see.
What's going to happen to your property now?
I don't answer that, right?
Is there an end to the siege near?
We're hoping so, yes, and praying for it, too.
Okay, that's all I've got.